We are taking a first look, you ladies, you gentlemen, you fellas, at the Week 17 slate. It's not the last week. We got an extra bonus week this year, but the first look right now, getting through it. We got everything from last week recapped. We're ready to roll. We're ready to roll into the next week, and let's do it right now, not now, but right now into Week 17. And why not start at the beautiful quarterback position? But let me put these on as I'm having some light sensitivity recovering from the C19. Hey, you know what I'm saying? So we're trying to get back to full health here, light sensitivity. I got some beautiful lights on me to make me look beautiful, so this can be a little detrimental. So we put these sunglasses on, reflecting, and it helps us out. So Josh Allen up top. Yeah, these are expensive fucking quarterbacks. $8,000. That looks against Atlanta. Good spot. This man just continues to throw fucking missiles. That Stefon Diggs touchdown last week was beautiful. All right, we'll see. We might want to find a cheaper quarterback, but we'll see. If we're talking GPPs, we'll see. Patrick Mahomes versus Cincinnati. That is going to be, if you look at this week, it is a 14-game slate on DraftKings. And if you look at it, there's only 2 games that have a total over 48 points. One of them is the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Cincinnati Bengals at 49. Joey Burrow coming off of a 500-plus yard passing game. The Chiefs offense is rolling these last couple of games. The one thing about Mahomes is he's so damn expensive, though, right? The thing about Mahomes is he's expensive, and this team will not throw the ball. He only had 30 attempts last week, right? This team, they end up pulling the stars again. They will not throw the ball if they don't have to these days. They ran the ball 30-plus times, so they had another blowout victory. Although in this one, you would expect Cincinnati to keep that game close and keep it competitive. He's definitely on my radar. Tom Brady against the New York Jets. Very similar things can be said for Brady as Mahomes. Like, they're not throwing the ball when they get ahead. You had Tom Brady this past week just not throwing it anywhere near as much. He only throw 30 times, 30 attempts, 27 actual true attempts if you take away throwaways and batted down passes. So the idea that Brady is chasing this MVP where he was second coming into the week behind Aaron Rodgers is not there. If he was chasing it, throw 4 more times, 5 more times in that fourth quarter, third quarter, and get another touchdown for you, right? They're running it in the red zone. They're fine to do that. So it's a little bit of a hesitation when you see the New York Jets now on the schedule, and another potential blowout like last week against the Panthers can be in store. So that's my one reservation. If it leads to leverage in a GPP, sure. But for this build, as I scroll, I mean, Kyler Murray stands out. As bad as the situation gets, this is a bad offense right now. I mean, the air raid is going to be not that vertical, and it gets even less vertical when you're taking out DeAndre Hopkins, replacing him with Antonio Wesley, when you're forcing Christian Kirk to go to the outside more. Like in that last game, Christian Kirk was playing a lot on the outside. He was playing a good amount on the outside, and that's not where he gets going, right? It's just not where he gets going. So this is a different spot now against a solid defense. This ain't the old Dallas Cowboys defense, a very solid defense. That said, though, this is going to look like the best game environment, a 50 implied total between Arizona and Dallas to start the week. So if I'm looking at guys who like stand out right off the top at the 7K and above range that I'm looking at quarterback, I think it's Kyler Murray. I mean, Tom Brady, Mahomes, Allen, they're all fine. But I think Murray's the guy because of that elite mobile upside and the fair price point and the game environment that's starting to stand out. Like Stafford is there against the Baltimore secondary that just got absolutely destroyed by Joe Burrow. But here's where my reservations about Stafford come in a little bit, is this team wants to run the ball. I know he threw 37 times because they were trailing in a game last week, right? And he wasn't even that efficient, but they want to run the ball. And now with Darrell Henderson having a knee sprain and probably not going to play this week, we'll see. Sony Michel's the perfect back to run more power with, right? To go in there and run a lot more, which slows the pace of the game down. Of course, they have the passing weapons. They have all the weapons out there. Van Jefferson, Tyler Higbee, Cooper Kupp, Odell. They have those weapons to throw the ball against Baltimore and do whatever they want. So it's going to keep them in play. But if you're talking about the expectations, right? Joe Burrow's game last week, how bad Baltimore secondary is with the offense and Cooper Kupp and what's coming to town. Another touchdown for Odell last week for Stafford and this Rams team. The expectation likely leads to higher ownership, in my opinion, which I think might be the wrong decision, because you might just see Stafford throw 30 times, hand the ball off 25 times to Sony Michel, and it's not as good of a performance. He might have a good game, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, but that's not winning you a GPP. That's not 16, 18 points is not getting you there. I think Lamar Jackson is really interesting in GPPs. Every Ravens quarterback that's been coming in lately, quarterback has been playing well. Josh Johnson, and yes, there's a lack of tape, right? But if Lamar Jackson is back and healthy at 7K, nobody's going to own him. Like if you're talking about all these guys 7K and above, in a GPP, Lamar Jackson's going to be like 2% owned. A single entry, you run him naked, playing with Andrews, who's probably more expensive now. That's a good price. If we keep scrolling, the first guy I'm seeing right now is Kyler that stands out the most. Joe Burrow's here, 6,900. Price comes up. He's been playing great, really all year, but this like last month, he should have been the Pro Bowl. You can talk all that, right? Great game he's coming off of now. Gets a matchup now against Kansas City. It's a good game environment. He's going to be insanely highly owned. Like Joe Burrow, for me, is somebody that you can go and get to. You missed your week, in my opinion. You missed your week, the 500-plus yard passing game, because of Joe Burrow this week on a 14-game slate where ownership should be more balanced out, is like 8 to 10% owned. I'm just hesitating. I'm hesitating and saying, is that where I want to go? Is that where I want to go when he's the same price as Lamar Jackson, right? I know he's been playing well. but they want to run the ball this team. They can run the ball this team, so it's very easy for him to not throw for 525 yards this week. I know he's playing great. Nothing against him. We're talking game theory here at the price tag. I mean, you're right there in the same price range with Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, who won't be owned, Justin Herbert, who continuously, no matter what the game scenario is, continues to score these 20 to 22 plus point fantasy days, even if it's a bad game like this past week. So Joe Burrow, there's no way the ownership doesn't come up here. The fact that this game environment against the Chiefs, and he's coming off of a 500 Bengals record passing yard game, 525 yards. So he gives me hesitation because of that, all of that. And it's probably not something that I'll go to. The guy that I do like here, if we're talking about all these good game environments, he's low priced somehow. Dak Prescott, Sunday Night Football game. These salaries came out before that. He pops the fuck off. They blow the team, Washington football team, completely out of the water. And I mean, Dak Prescott just looks good here. I mean, I like $6,700 Dak in this game environment at home. Yeah, they can run the ball. You can run the ball in Arizona completely fine. But I don't think we're going to get into a situation where Dak is only throwing 25 times in this game. I trust Arizona, although we haven't seen the last couple of weeks, to at least keep this game close. If Dak's starting to throw 34 to 35 times, I mean, 30... we don't want that. I won't sign up for that, but it's not the worst case scenario if he only throws 30 times. You start getting 35 to 40 times in a game for Dak Prescott in a competitive game where he's showing a little bit more mobile upside these last couple of weeks, where he's showing, I mean, the best we've seen him maybe look all season long in that last game after some question marks were coming in about his play and if injuries were affecting that the last month or so. $6,700 Dak screams yes to me. So I'm going to put Dak in this lineup right now. The rest of the quarterbacks, I'm assuming we're not going to get as many good options. At home, Seattle versus Detroit. The interesting spot for Russell Wilson. Detroit is hot right now. They play so slow pace, though, still. It's a little bit of a concern. Tua is there at 5,800. Justin Fields, if he returns, at 55. Other than that, though, Zach Wilson on the opposite side of Tampa. I mean, Millie Maker lineup if you're really bold, but probably not for me. I think we can transition to the running backs now. I think that we can get out of that range and transition to the running backs. And I will let you know that this is an extension. We were only going to do it for Week 16. Prize Picks said do it for the rest of the year. The DFS course that I have, it's 10 plus hours of videos. Game theory, how to actually win some dollar rooskies. Won $50, $200 this past week, and profit-wise, it could have been a lot better, but we'll take the profit. How to actually think like a pro, take your emotions out of it. 10 plus hours of theory. It is theory on DFS and how to actually take advantage of every little angle that is out there that people just don't see. You can get that for free. It's a $100 course I have on Teachable. It's for free if you use the code CLASS on prizepicks.com. Prizepicks.com is our number one sponsor right now. They're the presenting sponsor of this show. I mean, they just have so many props, whether it's passing yards, whether it's fantasy points for a bunch of different sports, esports, NBA, NFL is what we're focusing on here, but so much stuff. You go to prizepicks.com, you get a free bet up to $100 and that course only for the rest of the year until the new year comes. So the end of week 17, they said extend it one more week. I said, are you serious? And they said yes. And they said, we'll give you this if you extend it. And I said, okay, we'll do it then. So here's your benefit. Go ahead, take advantage of it with the code CLASS, CLASS. So now to the running back position, we transition into the running back position. Look at this. I got a little bottle of tequila here. A little bottle of tequila. My parents went on a cruise. They sent me some tequila home. And I said, now it's just sitting there in case, we get a little bit too turned up one day on a stream. You maybe rip some shots. So Jonathan Taylor up top. I can't say anything bad about Jonathan Taylor. He's $9,000. He's expensive. He continues to get there with 100-plus yard games and or a touchdown. So it is for Mr. Jonathan Taylor as that success continued to happen this past week. I mean, Austin Eckler should be coming off the COVID list. He's $8,200. Fair price point. Interesting price point, especially priced right next to Alvin Kamara. Kamara at home against Carolina. This is the one that I like. I mean, Joe Mixon is on here. He's coming off of a nice week. He got going in the passing game. I put a tweet out about Joe Mixon, and it was a tweet that was deservingly so. I said that Joseph Mixon, hey, I got to get proper, not Joe. Hey, my middle name is Joseph. Joseph Mixon, he's back. 95% of the opportunities on the ground, 18 of 19 last week, 74% of the routes for the running backs, and he saw 14% target share and 6 targets. We were telling you all week long. We were telling you that he was coming back from week 15 being ill. Not with COVID, just ill. He missed all practices. He was limited in that game, and people wanted to run with it saying, oh, he doesn't have his normal role. No, people just weren't paying attention to the injury report that he had an illness. And now, off of the stomach bug, off of being beaten down, he was fully healthy, and he was full Joe Mixon, right? And he has this full-time workload in a good game environment now. He's involved in the passing game in a phenomenal way, 70 yards and a touchdown. On the ground he gets in, right? He looks fantastic. $7,500 is a steep price point for sure, but I'm going to take it. I'm going to take those guaranteed touches. I'm going to take the Joe Mixon 20 to 25 plus touches, and now we have $5,100 left to spend, and let's try and find another running back here. If you're thinking about running back injuries from this past week, there was a couple of big ones. Miles Sanders broke his hand. They're going to see if he could play with a broken hand. I don't know how, but we'll see. Clyde Edwards-Helaire left with a collarbone, and he's getting a second opinion on that, and then that could be interesting for Darrell Williams' value. Darrell Henderson, he ended up having a knee sprain. He had to leave, and he's now questionable and doubtful really for week 17. They'll have to see if he can even come back for week 18. And James Robinson tore his Achilles. He is done for the year. So we'll have to see. There's going to be some interesting players now that come into play. James Robinson, Darrell Gumbawale, what's he going to look like? We'll get to his price tag. We keep scrolling down here. Cordell Patterson continues to see less and less work. Had a 50% split right down the middle with Mike Davis this past week. That's a concern. Damian Harris at home against Jacksonville looks nice, but Stevenson should be coming back. Don't expect as big of a game. David Montgomery at $6,500 continues to be it's crazy that he's more expensive than Saquon, and that's how it should be. I mean, David Montgomery right now, another thing that I put a tweet out about, be sure to follow me over on Twitter if you're not already. I mean, what you doing? David Montgomery now has 5+ targets in 5+ receptions, not even targets, in 4 straight games. And over those last 4 straight games, right, since he's coming back from injury and all this, he has 25 opportunities per game. 100 opportunities the last 4 weeks. 25 per game. Doesn't matter who his quarterback is. Justin Fields, Nick Foles, fucking Andy Dalton, right? Whoever it might be out there, he's getting his work, and he's becoming a pass catcher. He's becoming what we wanted Saquon to be, who Saquon is cheaper than him this week. But I'm going to throw $6,500 David Montgomery into this lineup. So we get Dak Prescott, Mixon, Montgomery, full workhorse backs. Let's keep looking at the running back position here. Ronald Jones is there. He saw like 50% of the snaps. Not much passing volume. Only ran like 8 routes in that game. Gets some matchup against the Jets, though. But, I mean, just overall security in that role, not there with Keyshawn Vaughn looking good. Josh Jacobs, another dude. Josh Jacobs and Montgomery from the same class, similar builds, not known for their pass catching. This year it's coming along. Another dude who saw some receptions and some work yesterday, ended up getting into the end zone. Keep scrolling. There is Saquon, who is cheaper at $6K. Price point's not changing, although the upside matchup against Chicago is nice. Nothing's really exciting me. I'd rather play $6,000 Elijah Mitchell if he was to return. I know Jeff Wilson on Thursday night saw 73% of the running back snaps, but Elijah Mitchell, in my opinion, fits the scheme way better, the outside zone stretch running scheme. He's going to go right back into that offense, in my opinion. 6K, Justin Jackson, likely not in play. Track DeAndre Swift. Track Clyde Edwards-Helaire. We keep scrolling. Antonio Gibson. Not really exciting me. $5,800 Darrell Williams. So here's the thing, right? These running backs right here, Sony Michel and Darrell Williams, both $5,800. Both had the other running backs in their backfield leave last week. I would much prefer Sony Michel against Baltimore compared to Darrell Williams versus Cincinnati. And maybe much is an exaggeration, but I'll take Sony Michel. I'll take Sony Michel at $5,800. Can we even afford all 3 of these dudes? Let's see. Let's put Sony Michel in the lineup now. We'll get a running back in the flex, because $5,800 Sony Michel, he's going to be a problem. I mean, this is a team that, again, they want to run the ball. We can pull up the tweet right now that I had. He saw 27 of 29 running back opportunities. Henderson was in for 5 snaps and got hurt. Jake Font only played 3 snaps and saw 1 touch. And then he ended up running 28 routes as well. I mean, Sony Michel is going to be the full workhorse back. They're going to build their offense now, probably around, obviously, Cooper Kupp's out there, but like in terms of more power running, play action passing to those Cooper Kupps of the world, they're going to build it around Sony Michel, in my opinion. And I think that I think Mixon and the Chiefs are the late window. So if you want to properly build out this lineup, you would put Sony Michel and then you would put Mixon in the flex. So if we do that, now we have a lineup starting to come together here. So there you go. Now we can start to have $4,700 left over. And I think we can work with that considering cheaper tight ends and a defense and maybe a punt wide receiver or something. But if we look at the rest of the running backs, like mid 5K range, anything stand out? Edmonds is now priced up. Keep scrolling down. Miles Sanders is cheap at $5,200 if he's able to return with a full role, but I don't expect that. Derek Carr at $5,100. A Clyde Edwards-Helaire banged up. Hard to see that fully working out. Gaskin saw a lot of work, but he saw a lot of snaps, 73%, but still split the workload with Tevin Coleman. Ogunbowale is priced up as he looked like he was the lead back for Jacksonville, found the end zone against New England. I mean, $5,100, man. So I think we're good on running backs. We're going to get Dak, Sony Michel, Montgomery, and Mixon. We're just securing touches here. That feels good. Let's see if we can get a cheap defense. I'm just going to literally go to like the cheapest of defenses that we can find. You get all the way down here, some brutal defenses. Let's go Jacksonville against New England. Mac Jones has been struggling as of late. That New England offense doesn't scare me to put up like 40 points, but I mean, we'll see. Jacksonville's not the greatest of defenses, but we'll just try and get a cheap one out there, right? That now leaves us with $5,200 to spend per position, which is a little bit better, right? So now we can go to the wide receiver position, and Cooper Kupp is $9,500. I don't know how the fuck we're going to afford Cooper Kupp with $5,200 left over, but this matchup against the Baltimore secondary, I know I have Sony Michel in the lineup. But if you're comparing him, I know he's more expensive than Debo and Tyreek and Diggs even by a lot. I don't know how you get away from Cooper Kupp. Going for records, I mean, if he doesn't get 100 yards and or a touchdown, it's like the world is burning. If we put him in this lineup, we get more secure touches and opportunities, of course. We only have $3,800 to spend. I think we can maybe find a cheap tight end. Let's see. So the tight ends on first look, and we'll go back to receiver, but the tight ends on first look, let's kind of look through this now. Like the guys up top, Andrews, Kelsey, Kittle, all 7K plus. Interesting. Probably all going to be leverage options. Kelsey likely picks up the most ownership because of the game environment. Andrews and Kittle continue to be low owned, likely going to be leverage options. If Waller at 6,300 somehow plays against Indy, he's probably the best tight end player on the slate. I'm not expecting him to play, but we'll track that. Gronk off of a terrible game now gets a bounce back spot against the Jets. Same price point, still like it. Pitts off of a great game in a matchup that we called it. We said, hey, Detroit has nobody, no cornerback. Their best cornerback just got put on IR. Aria Warre, shout out Penn State, butchering that last name. But now you end up coming out here, and there's nobody to cover Kyle Pitts, and he goes for 100 yards. This week, there are people to cover Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is going to have a decent time, or a hard time getting open against the Buffalo secondary. So it's going to be a totally different story. Tre'Davious White won't be there one-on-one, but still a tougher matchup. Gesicki plays tonight as I record this on Monday. Zach Ertz continues to dominate back-to-back 10-plus target games and back-to-back games, and he looks really good. $5,200 is a fair price point. A really secure price point in that game environment. I don't know if we can afford it right now. Schultz is there. He looks good. Everett finds the end zone. He's been playing well. I don't know how sustainable in that offense, but a good matchup. Higbee at 4K flat. I don't want a third Ram, but you can see how easy it is to stack these Rams up. I mean, Kupp, you just kind of prioritize, but Michel's a nice price point. Higbee's a nice price point. We'll see where the other receivers are. $3,800 Foster Moreau. If there's no Mr. Waller again, then Moreau at $3,800, and it doesn't leave us much. We'd have to find 2 cheap receivers. That doesn't feel great. We're going to have to find a really punt. But Moreau, he's continuing. He's an athletic player. He's continuing to see more and more work and get more comfortable in that offense. That's going to be a great play at $3,800 this week. Cole Kmet with any quarterback now has been producing. That's a good sign for that franchise in general. Can we find anything cheap? Hayden Hurst? No, he's not going to run. This could be interesting. Brevin Jordan. Why not put Brevin Jordan in the lineup? The rookie Brevin Jordan right here, he ended up running last week. I think he ended up running like 20 routes. He saw 4 catches, 54 yards. He has a connection with Davis Mills. He's on the field now more. Oh, we almost lost the glasses. He's on the field now more at $2,800. Matchup against San Francisco. We're trying to punt tight end with upside. An athletic freak who has red zone upside and is now not running just 10 routes, but 20 routes. And they were running the ball more, right? They weren't even passing that much. They started to run more since they actually got a lead and won that game against the Chargers. Rex Burkhead goes off, 12 attempts for Royce Freeman. That's a good spot for Brevin Jordan. I'll take that. That gives us $4,400 per player left. That might be tough as well, but let's look at the rest of the receivers. You get these Cincinnati guys priced all the way up. Chase, the 125-yard game, he's priced up. T. Higgins, we'll see where he's at. T. Higgins is coming up on my screen, $6,900. He's priced up. Yeah, Keenan Allen, Keenan Allen, $7,500. No Mike Williams. He's not vaccinated, so he's going to miss another week. I want to see what happens with Josh Palmer. We'll find his price point eventually, but if we're looking at this range up here, I mean, obviously Kupp is where I want to go up to. You're going to continue to get leverage on Tyreek because Kupp's up there and Kelsey's an expensive price and he himself is expensive. Like, that Chiefs stack is probably going to be somewhat lower owned than it should be. Like, I bet the Bengals are probably higher owned, which should not be the case. All these dudes up here look good depending on your stack, like Keenan Allen and Jamar Chase. And I mean, these Cowboys dudes, I already like Dak, so fitting a CeeDee Lamb would be appealing to me. We go down a little bit more. I mean, Amari Cooper, he got the squeaky wheel I tweeted out, he got the oil, right? The squeaky wheel got the oil. Can we fit Amari Cooper? It seems impossible. We'd have $2,200 left to spend. There's no way in hell that we're fitting Amari Cooper in this lineup. What if we were to take out Joe Mixon, though? What if we were to take out Joe Mixon and try and find another stud? What do we got? $4,800. That fits it a little bit better. So if we take out Mixon and we keep these 2 running backs, that gives us a little bit more to work with there with Amari Cooper. But Amari Cooper sees a 31% target share if you take out the throwaways and batted passes from Dak Prescott. That's good to see on 11 targets. He ended up seeing double the targets of anybody else on the team in the receiving core and just in general. So Amari, the squeaky wheel, got it. He looks fully healthy after being out with COVID and being the bye week. His ribs look completely good now. So he's in the 6K range. He stands out. I mean, if Evans comes back and Evans, Antonio Brown stack, we'll see how much he is. He's cheap. Apparently, Antonio Brown's still on this list. Let's go to wide receiver. So there he is. Antonio Brown, let's see if we get up here. Still a nice price point on the Seattle guys. DK had 1 big catch, and that was it. Basically, had 2 catches for the touchdown and nothing else the entire second half. Antonio Brown, I put out a tweet as well. Antonio Brown, $6,100. We're going to him. Let's see. Do we have enough, though? $3,600. Do we have a receiver out there who's in the $3,600 range that we can play? Antonio Brown saw 14 targets on 27 true pass attempts from Tom Brady last week, a 52% share, the second highest on the entire NFL season right now. Tom Brady loves him. There's no Chris Godwin. We'll see if Mike Evans returns. I don't even care if Perriman returns. He'll take Serial Grayson's on the outside role. Antonio Brown is going to continue to get work. 100-plus yards, 10-plus targets, or receptions last week on 14 targets. I don't know how you don't like him yet again. I mean, we even have this. We have a little stack now built here, right? We have the Amari Cooper and Dak Prescott stack. You can run it back with a Christian Kirk, who we haven't even seen his price tag yet. This is a very appealing slate on first look. I mean, I keep scrolling down. Is Amon-Ra St. Brown? He continues to get it done even with Tim Boyle. People aren't going to want to play him now that he's 6K. He's going to be probably 1 or 2% owned. 6K, a rookie. People probably still think it's fluky. The lines, all that. No, he's being factored into this offense. And now Dan Campbell's going to call the plays the rest of the year, who's been calling them the last couple of weeks. Yes, he's going to be factored into this offense. Nice price per Michael Pittman. He won't be owned as he's the same price as Christian Kirk, who keeps seeing volume in a better matchup. So Pittman will likely be probably 5% owned to Kirk's 12%. Odell is $5,700. He continues to run 100% of the routes, continues to see touchdown upside. He's looking really good out there and just a great matchup. That's another good play, especially in your stacks. I expect 12 to 15% ownership on him. We keep scrolling, and yeah, I mean, it's still a fine range. Like, Russell Gage is a wide receiver 1 on his team. Tyler Boyd is a wide receiver 3, but in a good matchup with decent volume likely coming his way. AJ Green, a wide receiver 1 on the outside, wide receiver 2 or 1A, 1B in that offense. Devontae Parker plays tonight on Monday Night Football, assuming that he doesn't get hurt. 8 targets a game heading into that game, and he's a threat, and he's only $5,200. So this range is loaded. I mean, I like this range a good amount. A little bit of a dead range here. There's 5K approaches like Julio, Judy, Kenny Galladay, Kendrick Bourne, Robbie Anderson. Like, this range starts to become a little bit dead. Rashad Bateman will continue to look okay if Sammy Watkins continues to miss. That's something they have to monitor. Yeah, I guess this range is a little bit of like the 4K range is kind of a dead range. Like Tony, but who is his quarterback going to be? Does that even matter? The quarterbacks look absolutely atrocious out there. Yeah, I think we get a little bit of a gap here. There's not much happening in this 4K range. Marvin Jones off of his best game in a while. Now gets New England secondary. McKenzie looked good, but expect Beasley to come back off the... Actually, it depends on when Beasley ended up getting tested. I don't think Beasley's going to be able to play, actually. We'll see if 10 days is... I think it happened on Thursday, so he shouldn't be able to play. So maybe McKenzie comes back at 4,300. Pringle looked good, but what will that look like when? Kelsey, not really if, but when he returns probably is the answer there. So we need somebody in this 3K range. What do we have? 3,600. Now we have $3,600 left for a wide receiver. I like this slate so far. We're gonna find this last wide receiver. And you watching these, you might have already built lineups. It's later in the week, so it's fun. It's a fun experiment. You might be like, oh, I know that this receiver is that cheap. Let's see if we can find somebody down here. Early on, it's not looking good. Curtis Samuel, Keelan Cole, Jamal Agnew, guys who are on IR, Jakeem Grant. These are not guys that I want to be playing. Antonio Wesley at there. Oh, buddy. We got it. Oh, do we have it? The rookie, Joshua Palmer. Are they really going to give us this? Are they going to give us this? Let me cue it up. Let me cue up the assist right now from my man Nick BDGE, Nick Ercolano over on Twitter. He covers this stuff as well. More in the season-long, basically, fantasy football streets. But he's great. He put out a tweet, and I'm going to have to re-quote this right now, because he put out a tweet that said, Josh Palmer, and you can see it right here, Josh Palmer led the Chargers in snaps ahead of Keenan Allen, right? He ended up posting a touchdown. He scored with like 10 seconds left in the game, but he posted a touchdown. He now has games with a touchdown and volume 6-7 targets with Mike Williams out. And Mike Williams is going to be out this week because of COVID. So Josh Palmer, Jalen Guyton, he's also on the COVID list. We'll track that, but Palmer's ahead of him, even in the game where they both played a couple weeks back. And he's $3,600 attached to Justin Herbert in a fine spot. And he's going to get the start again, and he's the exact price that we needed to fit this lineup together. Yes, please. So this lineup is looking good. I mean, Dak Prescott, Sony Michel, and David Montgomery, two running backs that have decent pass-catching chops, seeing a lot of volume lately in Montgomery, and should be massively involved in their offenses. The Dak Prescott to Amari Cooper combination, he's cheaper than CeeDee Lamb, so we fit that in easier. Antonio Brown might lead the NFL this week in targets like he damn near did. I think he might have last week with 14, but 14 targets last week. I mean, the only guy I don't feel good, Cooper Kupp, of course, you're getting the guaranteed points. Palmer feels good. I mean, Jordan's the only guy I don't feel good about, but Brevin Jordan, punt tight end. Basically fucking punting tight end every week if you can't afford these 7K guys these days. So me, oh my, shout out Travis Scott, oh me, oh my. I think I just, at the 305, hey, pause, right? So this looks good. This looks like a good first look lineup. I'm feeling good. This week seems fun. It seems like a fun, wide receiver, 5 and 6K range loaded. 4K range, Josh Palmer below there, it gives us some hope. So that looks good. Running backs, we have to track some injury news, but they look pretty good. We're getting Eckler likely back this week. That feels very nice. We're getting Kamara back on the main slate, JT back on the main slate up top, so it's going to give us a nice little way to get different. It is a 14-game slate. Ownership naturally with 14 games back on the slate is going to balance out just naturally. Next week we'll have 15, right? I believe 15 games. No, maybe 14 again. Sunday night and Monday Night Football are still on next week, so I apologize. 14. But that feels really damn good. So 14 slate. Ownership is naturally going to balance out. There'll still be leverage plays. There always is every single week, especially when it comes to stacking. Stay tuned for the rest of the week. We'll have a betting video, top stacks video, final thoughts, the leverage plays that one do. It's a fun week. We're here at week 17. 2 weeks left of the regular season. Then we get a whole month of NFL playoffs. The best teams playing, the best football that we get to get with Millie Makers every single week on DraftKings. Ways to bet the props. Use the code CLASS, not only for the free bet of $200 on Prize Picks, not only for that, but the course, of course. This is the last week for that course. Saying that word a lot right there, I'm going to confuse people. But there you go. Code CLASS to get advantage of all those down below. Thank you for tuning in, gang. I'll see you all in the next one. See you all in the videos this coming week. Live streams. You all rock. You make this an amazing job. See you all in the next one. I need to put these glasses back on as I'm getting irritable to these lights. So for now, take care and brush your motherfucking hair.